All right, welcome. As you know, my name is Aaron Young, and I've also got Johan, who is one of my Google Ads management team members. And what we wanted to do in this video is we want to give you a behind the scenes look of how we go about reviewing accounts and really isolating the areas for where we feel that we can get the most advantages and the most increases in performance. So what we're going to be doing in this video is I'm going to break down the 3 to 4 core areas that we look at, and then we'll go into some specific details. And just for everyone who is watching, obviously this account may not be in your specific business niche, but how it's still going to be relevant to you is it's going to give you a behind the scenes look of how you go about reviewing an account to really isolate what areas that you need to improve upon and what areas you need to focus on so that you can see better results with your Google Ads campaigns. So what I'm going to do right now is, Johan, let's pass it over to you. Can you give us a bit of an introduction of this account and what the current problems they're seeing and what they wanted us to focus on?
Of course, thank you very much, Aaron. So, in this account, the company is called Let's Eat Grandma, and they provide resume writing services. So we've been given the opportunity to go through their account and their websites and everything, and just do like a quick audit of how their situation looks like in their account. And their main issue is that lately their search campaign is not as effective as the first 2 months when they started doing the advertising with Google Ads with that campaign. Essentially, it's been decreasing in conversions over time. So that's been the main focus when we've been going through this account and doing the audit for them. So let me just share my screen.
Now, while that's come up as well, just so everyone knows, a big part of what we do whenever we get first-time access to an account, just so people know, Johan's done this audit in about 20 or 30 minutes. This is the first time I'm actually seeing this account. But one of the things that we do is that straight away we would do what we call a sanity check. So Johan, if you could just go through a quick sanity check, and just for everyone knows, that's where we're just really looking at, have they got auto-apply recommendations going? Is there anything that we just need to be aware of? So if we just show people how we go through that.
Exactly. So the first thing we do is go to all campaigns. So we're looking at everything in the entire account. Then I go over to recommendations and then into auto apply. And this is a place where typically Google reps or people who don't know what they're doing typically ends up enabling things as auto apply. You know, these recommendations that show up over here with the optimization score, these things you can go into the auto apply and make sure it's being applied automatically. And that's quite of a hazard with accounts, because especially if you're tampering with target ROAS settings or target CPA, different bidding strategies, those being applied automatically, that's typically a red flag in an account if those are enabled. So the first thing I do is go inside of here and just making sure that nothing is, disrupting whatever the client is trying to do inside of the account. Because if these auto apply things are enabled, it will mean that whatever the client is trying to do with the campaigns, it's still going to be overwritten by these auto apply features anyway. So it doesn't matter. It's like you're fighting yourself essentially. So the first thing I do is go inside of here and just making sure that nothing, weird is being enabled and could potentially, disrupt whatever we're trying to do with the account. So that's the first thing we do.
Johan, while you go to the campaign structure, so let's go through and have a look at the campaigns tab. One thing I want to highlight there is there's another account, not this account, that someone reached out to me last week, actually on Thursday. Over a 2-month period, they saw their spend go from $4,000 a month to $8,000 a month. And they saw their cost per conversion go from under $100 to over $400. And what it came back to is that their internal team was managing it and just accepting all recommendations. And they had the auto apply on. It added 200 new broad match keywords. It added a campaign-wide target ROAS. And so it can really make a really, really big difference. So just for everyone to know, that's where we start with. So we make sure, and this account, that's not a problem. So let's now jump into the structure of the account. So if you can just go to the campaigns. So you can just walk me through what the structure of the account and what they've got here. Are you having problems with your Google Ads campaigns, and regardless of what you try, you just can't get the conversions that your business needs? Thank you for joining us on this live Google Ads optimization session. But what I do want to let you know that if that is you and you cannot get your Google Ads campaigns to give you the conversions that your business needs, I want to let you know about our defined digital academy done for you or done with you Google Ads management solutions. So whether you're a business owner and you want us to look after your Google Ads account so that you can do what you do best in your business, we've got an option for you. Or if you're a business owner who wants to stop paying Google Ads management fees, but you need some expert advice in not only how to set up your campaign, but also optimize your campaign on a weekly basis. And the way that we do this is that we can coach you through the process so that you can optimize your Google Ads campaigns in under 1 hour a week. But if you want to find out about either of these options, follow that link in the description below so that you can apply. And I do want to let you know that for both of these options, due to the high demand, we only take on a limited number of accounts. So apply today so that you don't miss out on your opportunity. With all of that said, let's jump right back into the live Google Ads training optimization session.
So they've got a brand campaign, a brand search campaign that's taking care of their brand. That's Let's Eat Grandma. They also have a more of a generic resume writing type of keywords campaign for search over here. And then they also have a performance max campaign to essentially handle that part of it. And then we have this YouTube video or feed. I think it's a short campaign, but it's only $1 a day. I think they're just, maintaining it active. And then we have a display campaign as well for previous visitors or like a remarketing campaign.
Let's really focus on the search campaign, so the non-brand search and the performance max. One thing I can just check, can you just show me the structure of the campaign settings of the performance max campaign?
Yeah, sure. Let's go over here.
Okay, so one of the things for me that I would look at straight away in there is, and we would question the client about this, but one of the red flags that I see straight away is the fact that they've got the customer acquisition set on the Performance Max campaign to bid equally for new and existing customers. And then they've also got the search campaign targeting non-branded traffic. So for me, one of the straight away things I'd be looking at implementing would be looking at adding some segmentation between the two campaigns. And what I mean by that is that we never want to have Search and Performance Max campaign targeting the same keyword themes and the same locations with the same audiences. So for me, one of the strong recommendations, I don't know, you've been inside of the account a little bit more, so it may already be there, but first red flag I'd be saying is that we would want to switch over the Performance Max to target new customers only, and then really hone in and make the search campaign focus on the more intent, because we do now know that if they've got exact match keywords in the search campaign and someone searches that, it's going to trigger the search campaign, not the Performance Max campaign. So that would be one thing I would look at straight away.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. That's the other thing I would look at there too, is the presence for Performance Max. I would also be changing that over to presence only, not presence or interest.
Exactly.
That would be the first thing I'd say. The next thing, let's look at the keyword structure, and then we're going to land in and around ad copy and landing pages, because I do know that's the main area that you've really flagged as areas that we need to look at.
So exactly. So inside of this search campaign, they have one main ad group. So let's take a look at those keywords in there.
Can we, oh no, that's a good date range. So we're looking at 26th of September. Yeah. The main thing that I would look at there is that they've got exact match keywords, which is great. The one thing they don't have is any broad match, and they've got one phrase match. Now, the more and more I look at this is that I'm not using phrase match at all anymore. I know you're the same too, Johan.
Yeah.
And obviously, for people to understand why we're not doing that is that in my head, phrase match doesn't exist anymore. I know technically it does, and we can still use it. But when you go into the Google targeting options, you can actually see that phrase and exact have the same signals. And I've also done tests on this that they actually throw up the same level of traffic. So the two options are, I can actually handle people going exact only. I can't handle people going exact and phrase. So I'd be working with the client to go, we either go exact only, or we go one broad match keyword, which would be their highest targeting keyword, which would be resume writing service, and then the rest exact match. Now with this client, I would even be comfortable if they were going to have the Performance Max that was reaching out for new customers only, that the search was only exact match. And then what we're doing is going into our search terms and adding in some new exact match. But yeah, that would be the only other thing I'd say.
Yeah.
All right. That's the only other thing I would say. I'm really now going to hand it over to you, Johan, because I know the area that you really highlighted was around the ad copy and landing pages. So let's spend quite a bit of time there.
Yeah,
just for everyone to know as well, is that essentially what we do here is that you can see we went through that process really, really quickly. Obviously, both Johan and I, we've been doing Google Ads now for quite a lot. So we've got a system that we work through. So if like we went through and we did some little checks, everything's okay, we just move on, and we don't have to spend a lot of time there. So, but
Exactly.
this is probably the biggest area that you've seen. So I'm going to hand it over to Johan so he can really explain this down, because this is where we've really seen the biggest area that needs improving for this account.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, considering what he told us about the issues they are facing, is that over time they've seen a decrease or decline in conversion. So that's sort of where we start as well when we go inside of the account and have a look. And I mean, when we have this issue, first thing I typically look at is, let's say, like the conversion rate, looking how that's been sort of like decreasing over time as well. Because if the conversion rate is the same, but the conversions has been decreasing, it could be some other issue with the targeting in some way that's been, affecting how they're getting fewer conversions, like fewer clicks, and then they're getting, fewer conversions because of that. But as you can see over here, we have basically the same amount of clicks. We have a good amount of impressions, maintaining a good level through the chart, but the conversions are decreasing and the conversion rate is decreasing as well. So that tells me it's probably not Google Ads where we should be focusing the most attention right now, but perhaps where people are landing when they click the ad.
I was going to say, did you check that through in the change history as well?
Yeah, exactly. So that's, by the way, an interesting thing that not a lot of people know about is that when we do these audits, we go through the change history just to get an understanding of how people have been working with the account. And what I noticed is that there was a lot of changes to the ad copy recently, and from there I get an understanding that okay, maybe they've been doing something with the ad copy that could be affecting the ads, and also affecting how people actually click the ads and then end up on the landing page. Typically, what we do is we look at these charts, and when we see this drop in conversions, that's when we go back and look at the dates leading up to that. And what I noticed was that there was quite a good amount of changes with the responsive search ads and adding in and removing different headlines and descriptions for the ads.
Great. Well, not great, but great that we've found
Yeah,
one of the
exactly.
culprits.
Exactly. So actually, what we can do is start with the ads. Have a look there. Having a look at the ads, it's so important that you get your offer through to the people who are seeing these ads.
And one thing I just noticed there, don't go back to the screen, but you would have picked up that the ad rank there was excellent. And this is a common
Yeah.
question we get all the time, is that, what is the importance of the ad quality score? It really isn't that important at all. We don't really pay any interest to it. It's important for people to know that the ad strength, that's Google just looks at it in terms of its rationale. But what we're looking at is click-through ratio and conversion rates. And we know the conversion rate has dropped. So the fact that Google is saying the ad is excellent doesn't mean anything to us. We're not going to be worrying about the changes that the client will make if that ad rank goes down to average or even poor, because we're looking at the conversion rates.
Yeah. I mean, this ad strength saying it's excellent, that's just a visual representation of that you have a good mix of headlines and descriptions, but it says nothing about the quality of the headlines or if they are going to be converting or not, or whatever the case is. So this is never something you should be putting too much attention to.
No. Okay, so what did you find out about with these ads when you looked at this account?
Yeah, so one thing is that, I mean, the thing about hiring someone to do a resume for you is to get a certain result, which would be, for example, to land more jobs, land a higher salary. So what I would want to be seeing in these ads is more like percentages or numbers, hinting, towards what are you going to gain by using this service versus, just writing the resume yourself, essentially. That's
Yeah,
one
so
big thing.
essentially what you're saying there, they've got a lot of things like epic resume transformation, number one resume service, exceptional
Yeah.
customer service. Ultimately, that doesn't mean anything. So we'd give a recommendation to this client. You're saying we increase the results. Can we get a stat out there that says 80% of our customers see a doubling of interviews, or 80% of our customers have found a job within 30 days or 60 days, whatever the scenario is? Yeah, I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, exactly. Because something that a lot of people miss in advertising is that they typically only talk about themselves and what they offer, and they talk nothing about what they do for the potential customer, which is the thing you should be doing, because people only care about what the results are for them. So that's what you need to be focusing on in the ads and in the landing page as well.
Yeah, we've always sort of really felt, and this is one message we give to our clients as well, is when Johan and I look at this, is that we've got to remember there's two things that we want to see. We want to give Google, when it comes to ad copy, we want to give Google what it wants. So it wants the keyword focus because it
Yeah,
wants the relevance.
yeah,
But we also want to give the customer what they want, which is conversions. But we've got to think of, for this business to get conversions, they've got to build the emotion on what the user wants. The user, like, this is a really emotional topic. If someone hasn't got a job or they're trying to find a job, like, there's such a personal thing about that. Like, are they struggling to pay rent? Are they struggling to send their kids to
yeah,
school? Like, there's so many different things there
yeah, yeah,
that they could be pulling on. Like, the other thing too would be, I'd be going, have they got data on their customers who they've helped? Have they seen like a 20% increase in their salary?
mm,
There's some really good emotional triggers. Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying there,
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
these headlines are too wishy-washy, and we
yeah,
really need to harden them up with some really strong call to actions that have
exactly.
emotions. And the biggest thing that has an emotion is an actual percentage.
Yeah.
Obviously, it has to be real percentages and they have to be back it up, but that's what I'd be looking
Yeah,
at.
yeah, definitely, definitely. It's so important to push on those desires, opportunities, pains, fears, all those different things that actually drive a lot of human behavior. You need to really
Yeah.
try to incorporate as much as possible of that in your ads. I know it's hard sometimes because you only have 30 characters to play with, so sometimes it's quite difficult to squeeze that in, but don't be afraid to like skip a word or two just to get to the point spot on. So yeah.
And the great thing I see about this as well is the facts are probably 5 to 10% of advertisers actually even do this in Google Ads. The amount of
Yeah.
accounts like this is what we see all the time: wishy-washy ad copy. If
Yeah.
you were to do, I always encourage the client, do a Google search for your own service, because we can't change the font color, we can't change the font size, we can't get more than 30 characters, we can't use any, exclamation marks, emojis. So I've always found, wherever possible, if we can bring out a percentage or a dollar value on it, it's always going to be a lot stronger.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so it's the first thing we need to harden up the ad copy. Then how does that also work on their landing page, Johan?
Yeah, so of course the second thing that I look at in this scenario, considering that it's a conversion rate issue, is to go to the landing page, because landing page is essentially 50% of the equation here. Because if you're sending real high quality traffic to a crappy landing page, it's not going to convert as good anyway. You're just going to get those people who are going to convert even though you barely have a form or number on the page. Those are the type of people you're going to convert. But if you're going to make this a more mainstream, make it more like acceptable to a larger audience, you have to make it more to the point, get your offer in front of the people and really get them to understand, what you're offering. This is the landing page where the traffic from the search campaign is landing, and it says resume writing services, and then comes some wishy-washy stuff, and then they go a little bit more into the point. And actually, this is funny, in like 8 out of 10 cases when I do these landing page audits, the thing they should be having as a headline is what they have in the description or the sub headline, to what they have as a headline. So, here they say, Let's Eat Grandma is a premium resume writing service built in Austin. We help mid and senior level professionals get recognized to land better jobs. So, this is like the punchline they have right here. This is the thing they should be honing in on, but using it as the headline and not being part of the sub headline or description. This part of the landing page. Yeah, sorry.
I was going to say, the other option there is to keep that as the description where they've got there, but with the resume writing services built in Austin serving the world, that's where they should also have the message that they had in the ad copy. So,
Mm,
like, resume writing service is okay, but the built in Austin serving the world, for me, I go, unless you come from Austin and you're really, really passionate about supporting your local city, that means nothing to
yeah,
me. I'm trying to find a job. Like, that built in
yeah,
Austin serving the world should be, as we said, 80% of our customers see a 20% increase in revenue, or 80% of our
exactly,
customers see
exactly,
a 60% increase in an interview selection. That's what that
exactly,
should be.
exactly. And looking at this other stuff, it's good that they have these logos from
Yeah.
New York Post, Money, Investopedia. These are good social proof. Brings up the ante a little bit. And then we have the Trustpilot thing over here. If they do
Yeah.
use something like this, I would want it to be like clickable or something, so that people can actually click and see the reviews. Because if they just use the stars, it could be just fake in people's eyes.
The other thing I would say there too is, I think they've got in terms of just usability. So you're right, they need to harden up on their messaging. The other
Yeah,
thing is, as well, is that there's too many images there for me. So what I'd be looking
yeah,
at is this section in here, the top yellow section, that would actually be the full fold. So larger font size with a
Yeah.
really bold standout color. So the yellow and black is fine with contrasting. Like the other thing I go to is that images are important, but if you gave me an option between an image and a really standout text, I would take the standout text with a
Yeah.
killer headline.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Ideally, both is good, but yeah, it's for me, it would be making that yellow section larger.
Exactly.
Just working on the design, but yeah, the main thing there is the great that they've got some authority markers, but they need to work up on that headline.
Yeah,
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 you go on
definitely.
now.
Yeah, sure. And also when it comes to the call to action on the website, I mean, here it says get started. Going down here, it's learn more, schedule call, and here we can actually order now the different services. And if we continue scrolling, let's see if there's more. Here it's start now. So there's different messaging back and
Yeah,
forth on the call to actions, and that's also quite a bit of a hazard. You need to be focusing on one, maybe two,
yeah,
if,
you're right.
if it's complementing the first one, but it's like it's basically just one you want to be focusing on for the call to action. In this case, I think it's good that they don't have a nav bar so that people can spill out into different other pages on the website, because you do want to be having people staying on the landing page, essentially removing all the distractions. But if you're doing these different call to actions and all that stuff, it's going to be hard for someone to understand what's my next move here. Is it to get started? Does that mean I pay for something now, or does it mean that I'm getting your help right now,
Yeah,
or what's the case here? So I mean, they need to be more to the point what they're actually offering as their call to action, like get a 15-minute free resume audit or whatever it might be, so that people know exactly what it is they're getting when they're clicking that button.
yeah, and that's what we talk about all the time about priming. So in the ad copy, you don't only want to get the click, you want to introduce what you're wanting them to do. So for me,
Yeah,
it's like when they see my ad, I don't only want them to see my ad and click on the ad. I want them to have an idea of what I'm wanting them to do when they get on the website. So
yeah,
yeah, exactly right. So there's confusion here. So
yeah,
get started. What am I getting started with? Am I actually signing up and paying money, or am I getting a trial, or
yeah.
what's happening here?
But what people need to be aware of is that we're in the age of people, watching YouTube shorts and TikTok reels, and this super short attention span to anything that people does. So when they land on these pages, you need to be crystal clear what you're offering. You need to talk to people like they're five. If you show this landing page to someone for 5 seconds and they don't know what you're offering, you need to start honing in more on the messaging, what you're offering, so that people are crystal clear on what you're offering, what it's in for them, and then also be super clear with the call to action so people know how to act on this as well. That's super
Yeah.
important.
And this is where I guess probably from here we would probably lean in on the client to really find out what does their conversions look like. So what we mean by that is it really, really likely that someone is going to go into the prices and they're going to buy right now, or are they in an industry where we really need to give them a 15-minute free review or a free trial
Yeah, yeah,
and then continue the sales process? Either one can work, and I don't really mind. Like I work with a client, I don't mind which one it is,
no,
but let's choose one. And because if it's the 15-minute resume writing review, let's give them a soft option to buy now.
yeah,
But let's focus everything around get your 15-minute free review, which is
yeah,
behind an email wall. So then
yeah,
that way we're building our database and we can then sell them with our emails.
exactly, exactly.
Or if they've got a really high conversion rate for people buying on the spot, let's just go all out. Let's go all in
Yeah.
on that. Like get started. So get started today from $49 or whatever their baseline price
Yeah,
is.
yeah, exactly, exactly. The only thing there is just to focus on one thing, whether it be to buy now or to do
Yeah.
like a free audit or whatever it might be. And also in a scenario where you're offering that free thing first as a front end, you can always do the purchase thing on the thank you page after the form is being submitted, like a stage two, if you will, so that when people submit to get that free audit or resume audit thing, they can always get the choice to actually go ahead and buy if they like on the second page, if that's the case, just to because there are, like you say, people who are ready to act now, but I think it's difficult to have them both on the same page, because I think it
Yeah.
sends different messages.
And if we go back to what we're talking about in Google Ads, the perfect scenario could be here is that we're using Performance Max for our colder traffic. So that's where we're
Yeah,
more really promoting a free demonstration, more getting them to sign up to our database so we can cultivate them through. But if
yeah,
we've got our search campaign targeting like really high intent keywords, exact match keywords, that's where we could potentially get away with the, hey, sign up now, get this done now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And an
Okay.
important thing here for anyone listening as well is that there's never a 100% clear path to this. It's usually a bit of
Yeah.
testing involved in this. So we would perhaps be having a thesis that we want to be testing, and if that doesn't work, we have the next stage to test, and that could be to do something else with the landing page or do something else with the offer, or whatever it might be.
So for this client, what I would be recommending moving forward from here would be, the good thing is, let's praise the good thing is, the Google Ads account isn't a massive disaster. Like there's a
No,
couple of
no.
little things, like probably the main thing inside of Google Ads is we just need to really have some structure. So that the biggest thing is probably more around about being really more strategic on the
Mm,
customer journey. So with Performance Max, if we're going to be hitting the top of the funnel, let's separate that out in the campaign settings so it's bidding for new customers only. And then probably what you're saying is let's also be stronger with that message and use that across to the demo.
yeah.
For the exact match, we need to be tighter on our ad copy,
Mm,
adding in the percentages like you said,
yeah.
and then also tighter on our landing page, giving them, so rather than coming to a page with 4 different options, giving them one main option with one secondary option as a
Yeah,
fallback.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
The biggest thing that I see with this is quite common. We see with a lot of accounts that we would say all the time when we do this is that there's usually a disconnect from the campaign to the landing page. And would you say that
Yeah.
that's probably the biggest problem here?
Yeah, 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 definitely. That's typically the reason when this happens. So,
All right. Thanks as always, Johan, for your insight.
of
We'll
course.
pass this on to the client. And
Yeah, of course.
pleasure having you here. For everyone here as well, just as a bit of introduction, this is the first time Johan has been on this channel. Johan's been part of my team now for nearly coming on 2 years, I'd say now, isn't it, Johan?
Yeah, yeah.
So we've done a lot of these reviews, but that's what we wanted to give today, is to set insight into how you go about and getting the best results in reviewing your Google Ads campaigns.